get down to business, I think.
Yes.
Cooking up his sweaty spaghetti. So many good lines this episode. It was insane.
Yeah. How does this rate out of...
This was an all-time favourite.
This is episode 5?
This was episode 5, season 3. And I think in terms of series progression, this one was so beautifully played out. Like some amazing, what is it called, a bottle episode? You know, obviously it wasn't literally a bottle episode, but in terms of the fact that it was all at this one important shareholder meeting. And it was so theatrical.
A bottle episode. It was a bottle episode.
It was just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
We only know the term bottle episode because, you know, development.
Writers.
Failed development. Yeah, it really actually was. And you saw Waystar more for what it actually is, which is trying to sell stuff and to people please and to, you know, Jerry and Frank on stage just kind of being very different versions of themselves.
It was so strange. I had no idea that that's what a shareholder meeting would look like.
No.
It looked like one of those American political conferences with the big bright like LED sort of board behind them.
And croissants.
It was so surreal. I had no idea that that's what it was like.
But
it was almost like a day at the racing or something.
It's to make their shareholders feel content and to prove that they still know what they're doing.
Exactly. And yet it was almost like a farce, like noises off with them sort of whispering to each other as things were going on, having to come on stage and off stage and murmur things like, you fucking idiots. I was
my God.
It was just perfect.
Yeah, it was. But it opens with Logan getting a foot brace.
Absolutely. Yep. He's had his little stumble on the hill with Adrian Brody.
So he calls it a trainer, which I noticed later. So it definitely opens with us seeing Logan in quite a fragile state.
Absolutely. A little bit of an invalid. And also then we see Kendall once again in his lad palace. Is he in his lad palace or is he talking to someone in his lad palace about his rabbit? I think he might be talking to someone about his rabbit.
He's talking to someone, and the rabbit is a recurring little theme throughout the episode to kind of show that Kendall is not losing the plot, but is power hungry now, and he thinks he's right.
And making illogical decisions backed up by the people around him who are too afraid to say no. And he kills what he is in charge of, essentially. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
And it's probably the kid's rabbit.
Oh, yeah, it's his son's rabbit. He says
he doesn't have pet rabbits.
No. He says in his previous episode something about the fact, along the lines of, he just wanted to make his son happy, so he got some big fucking rabbit, and now his son wants to find the biggest fucking carrot.
Oh, I didn't think that.
To Adrian
I thought
Brody.
that was him saying something along the lines of, my dad is dangling a carrot and I'm the rabbit.
Well, you know what? That's what's amazing about this show. So many levels.
But we can go back and we can see who's right, because I think I'm right. I didn't hear
I almost think definitely that you are incorrect.
Okay. But the actual person who leads us in and actually bookends the episode is Frank. So he goes into the title sequence this time, and he basically almost closes the episode too. So he calls Kendall to say, basically to double time what's, you know, and I don't know what the word is.
Foxtrot.
So he's
basically
do a two-step. He's saying to Kendall,
this is what's happening today. We can't lose the shareholder. We can't lose the votes, or we can't lose, or whatever the fuck. I mean, like, it would be ridiculous for us to imply that we know anything about the business side of this show.
That was also, I think, a really clever tactic of Succession, is to not really go too much into business speak.
Exactly.
So it doesn't alienate an audience. Because, to be honest, these are comedy writers.
Totally.
They don't know business speak.
I mean, they definitely hired someone who came on as a consultant who was like, okay, these are the words you got to use. Shareholders, business, meetings. I mean, more technical terms than that.
Stock.
Percentages, stock.
Stakes.
The stakes are high. Do you know what I mean? And then they just get on with the funny stuff. And that's what we need. But basically, you're right. Frank is playing both sides, or at least keeping Kendall in the loop. Maybe for the good of the company, because as you see, Kendall kind of comes like at this like shining night later on in the episode to be like, what the fuck is going on? Because nobody benefits if they lose control of the company. So Frank is trying to tell Kendall, you need to stay on top of this today.
So he's desperate. Logan's got a foot brace on, and he says something like, the doctor says something like, you might need a brace. So sets Logan up to be, something's going on here. And he needs and the piss thing. He needs like about 10 pisses in this episode. And we find out later it's because he's got a UTI that he doesn't want anyone to know about, which is
I can relate to that.
which is really sweet. And do you think he's having a UTI because he's fucking too many women?
I mean, that would be a really interesting theme. Plus, Little Miss Fringy Fringe. What's her name in this? One of the many.
Oh my God, what's her name?
One of the like Monica,
No.
Carrie. It might be Carrie.
It's Carrie.
It's Carrie. Yeah. So Carrie with the fringe is something that me and Jessie noticed this episode. We actually watched it together this week, which is a bit of fun.
in the daytime,
in the
because we were both
daytime,
depressed.
because we're both depressed. And what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
And we have both noticed that there seems to be this theme, especially this season, of female assistants coming in for 2 episodes and then disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's either like a sort of glitch in the Matrix where they just have to have a new character come in to like fill in those lines and they can't find the same actress or something like that. But I mean, we were both thinking that we think that's for a reason.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, this sort of like conveyor belt of female assistants, especially little Miss Fringy Carrie, who has a bit of a weird flirty thing with Logan going on.
Yeah.
And then she's the one in control of his UTI medicine. Maybe she gave him the UTI.
But there's also this weird shot of her mid-episode before they find out that Logan is now going a bit dotty, where she's on her own on a balcony watching over the shareholders. It's a very quiet moment. And there's also another long shot of Jess, Kendall's assistant.
Yes.
When Kendall, I think, is having another chat about the rabbits.
Yes, and he's saying, oh yeah, you can give them a bit of bagel. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that rule of saying that the rabbits aren't allowed bagels is for dumbasses
Yeah.
who go to like theme parks.
No. This is the second chat where Kendall gets another call saying, no, I've given the rabbit some bagel.
And he's ill.
Yeah. And Kendall's like, take him to the doctor.
Yeah.
And the person on the other end of the phone is like, he's a rabbit. And he's like, well, the doctor can work it out.
Yeah, if the doctor knows how to do people, he knows how to do rabbits.
Yeah.
And then Jess sits there.
There's a long shot of her and she just like, and that was really peculiar. I thought that it's just giving us a glimpse into that these people have, you know, lives too.
Totally.
And they're having to watch this madness.
Exactly. In a way, only showing tiny glimpses of the regular people and their frustration at these dumbass rich people and their ridiculous worries, like having to worry about your giant rabbit getting sick or whatever when she's just trying to do her job, as well as balance a million other things. I think it's really clever that they only give you little glimpses, because if you were to get too much of it, it would make what the Roys do seem absurd. But
Yes.
because you only get a little glimpse into it, you don't lose too much faith in, like, you know, the crazy rich drama.
Yes.
Anyway.
And then basically a huge word throughout is also the temperature, gauging the temperature. Logan mentions it first, and they're
You've
all
got to
trying
gauge the temperature of these shit munchers.
Yep, exactly. And Jerry is really stressed. So she's trying to make out that, you know, she's in control. She's got to go on stage. When she does go on stage, she's very girly. It's weird.
Yeah.
And she says, you know, something like they wanted the moon on a stick. And is she talking then about Sandy?
I don't know.
Yeah, but that line was so good. I don't remember who
It was such a good line that I didn't really know who she was talking about.
Yeah.
I was just enjoying the line.
But very quickly, it's clear that they are going to meet Sandy and Stewie.
Yes. And that the family are very, very worried that actually, given the conditions of the deal that they're not willing to do, that they are going to have to go to a vote and that there is a chance that they could lose the company. They're all sort of sitting around in the lobby. Everyone's milling around. Then Connor sort of like really
Swoops
swaggers in.
Yeah.
And
I said swoop. You said swagger.
yeah,
You're right with swagger,
exactly.
because swoop is the wrong word.
he didn't quite swoop. Like, that would imply that he sort of, you know, no, he swaggered in. And then
It's like so stupid. He's so stupid.
everyone's stressed. And then he swaggers in like he's Mr. Cool Guy. Kieran says something like, oh, thank God, you know, your being here is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
And then he says, oh, by the way, just in case you didn't know, as a family, we're deciding that we're all going to go and try and get jobs at the same branch of Target. Which
Oh
I
my
just thought
God,
was such a fucking
Roman's
good line.
lines in this episode,
You know?
even though he's not. Well, actually, Roman's role in this episode is the supportive son.
Yes.
He backs Logan no matter what, and is genuinely concerned. There's one line later in the episode where he says something like, "the main concern is Dad's care."
Exactly.
And no one else is even really considering that. They're considering how are they going to get this vote. So Logan doesn't want to go to a vote. He says he doesn't want to do a tap dance. And everyone else is saying, no, but this could work in our favour. You know, we've got to go. This could be good for us.
No. I think you got it the wrong way
I
around.
got it the wrong way around.
I think that nobody wants to go to a vote because of the risks involved. They think that it's better to accept a kind of slightly shitty deal, as long as they keep control of the company. Logan is the one that doesn't want to kowtow too much to what's his name again? I always forget. Sandy, exactly.
Oh my God, let's talk about Sandy.
Yeah, oh my God. The way that they set up these two patriarchal, like, invalids this episode. I mean, when you saw Sandy in that state, that was shocking. I didn't know. I don't know what to think. Like that.
Maybe
was,
there'd been a reference to him being sick before, but I hadn't.
I didn't realise how unwell, and the daughter having to, you know, do the kind of like listening to him speaking, not knowing if he's actually saying anything. Is she like just some weird puppeteer?
Is he saying anything?
I mean, it was just bizarre.
And she keeps reiterating, "I'm just doing what my dad tells me."
Yes, exactly. In some sort of slightly snide, but also like maybe warm statement, like that's supposed to show the Roys, yeah, I'm in the same position as you are.
And their condition is that if they are going to give these seats, I don't really understand the phrasing. Then the only condition, the main condition, is that a Roy family member cannot succeed.
Exactly, and obviously this sends them all into a
frenzy.
Jerry and Carl, was it Carl in the room or was it Frank? They kind of look at the kids as if to say, don't be illogical. Like this is still a better thing than if we lose control of the company. But Shiv and Kieran, especially Kieran, he's so hurt by Jerry in this scene.
Yes, and then they have that lovely scene after.
Yeah. But I just noticed in this scene, Jerry was trying to be strong. Shiv and Kieran were trying to be sort of smart and talk their way around it. But when they were interacting with Jerry as they were all leaving, and Shiv is the one that kind of gives the news to Dad that she's found a way around it, they're treating Jerry like she's like the mean stepmom.
Exactly. And then she says, you know, I am his daughter, so I'm going to tell my dad. Is that okay?
It reminded me of like when like a little rich girl is horrible to like her, like the dad's new girlfriend or something like that. And Shiv can't cope with Jerry thinking that she's at all in the spotlight or the main woman at Waystar. I just thought that was really interesting.
We haven't mentioned that up until they meet Sandy and the daughter. I don't remember her name.
Sandy as well. I think they call
Sandy.
I think so, or maybe that was a joke because there was a joke about which one, and then she referred to her as Sandy later in the episode. So I thought maybe the daughter is also called Sandy, but I might be wrong. But
Shiv looks genuinely concerned. She really, really needs this to go well.
Yeah, she is more panicked this episode.
And she jumps the gun a bit too quickly. You know, she is so quick to say on the phone to the dad after, you know, like we did it. Too quick to celebrate, and it just feels wrong. And then when they get back, Logan, who isn't, you know, he's old school. He doesn't trust anyone. He knows this isn't right. And he's like, no, this is a trap. Yeah. There's something going on. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do it. You know, we're going to actually now make them pay. It actually shows that he's quite nasty. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely nasty. But...
He said don't even let them in the building.
Yeah.
It was because the fact is they hadn't come to an exact agreement on the deal, but Shiv, like in kind of a lawyerly way, was like, well, you know, it would be crazy to let this go.
Yeah.
So let's sort all of that out later. And Logan, it's almost like he just doesn't trust Shiv's judgment call in that moment.
And that's setting up for later when he lays into Shiv, and it's excruciating.
Also, there's a sort of a nice conversation that happens in between these scenes around the same time of Connor talking to Logan, asking about a position at Waystar.
And Logan is the first time Logan goes for another piss. And... it's just weird.
It's weird. And I think, what does Connor suggest? That he's the head of some international channel, maybe like in Paris or something, in Europe. And does Logan sort of agrees to it?
No. He just completely palms him off and
says, I need to have a piss.
Yeah. It's embarrassing. Yeah. And when he says, Connor's just like, okay, cool, good talk.
But what I thought was interesting is when Connor like sort of bridges this conversation, Logan has this weirdly sincere look at him and says, but you were never interested. Yeah. And that was so interesting to me because I've always thought that Connor was sort of shut out himself. But maybe Connor, when he was a young man, he fucked off. I reckon he was probably one of those like fancy boys who decided, no, I'm not going to work for my dad's company. I'm going to go travel around the world. And that just was such an interesting insight into their relationship. And it shows that Kendall and Kieran... not Kieran, oh my God, it's so easy to call him
Roman.
It shows that Kendall and Roman and Shiv, you know, like they were willing to work harder than like Connor. I just thought that was so interesting because I always kind of felt sorry for Connor that he'd been shut out, but maybe he shut himself out.
He's got this kind of very desperate, happy energy compared to everybody else in this episode. But then we have this lovely scene between Greg and Kendall, who is... apart from the rabbit stuff, he's ferocious in this episode.
Yeah.
He basically says to Greg, "Look, I'm really sorry, but I'm gonna have to burn you."
Yeah.
And it's really funny dialogue. You know, Greg saying,
how bad a burn?
How how bad might the burn be? You know, can you just let me know?" And oh god, and then Greg has this really funny moment with the PR woman, from
Dasha.
Red Scare, yeah. Oh, I didn't know you would be here.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, well, it's my job. And then after just having this awful burn chat with Kendall where he is terrified because he's like, okay, what if Kendall, you know, puts me in the fire, then I'm absolutely fucked. And then after, he still bounces back and is like, see ya.
Yeah, I know.
To Dasha.
I know. I can't wait. She's definitely going to reject him. I thought when they first were interacting the first few episodes, I was like, oh, maybe there's a romance that's going to develop there. No. I think later on down the line, she's going to have to reject him or something like that. But Greg's storyline is interesting this
Fascinating
episode.
because for the first time, you see him as a little rich boy.
Totally.
And you never seen him like that before because he had been the poor one. But then you realise he has lived his entire life thinking he's getting this money from his grandpa.
Exactly. And the kind of the freedom that must give you. The grandpa is such an interesting character.
So great. And then when he's playing dominoes, what is that game he's playing? He's playing dominoes or something, but they're not. It's like flat dominoes. What game do you play with that?
When was he doing that?
When he was with his lawyer at the shareholder meeting downstairs in the empty restaurant, which I noticed, which I thought was weird.
Because everyone's at the conference.
No,
Jessie.
I don't think so. I think it was this shareholder meeting was under attended because of their recent, you know.
Oh, that's interesting. That could
that's
be
my theory.
Ooh, clever girl.
But yeah, so the grandpa's down there with the shitty lawyer, and Greg goes to meet him, and they're playing this weird game with dominoes, but they're flat. What game is that? If anyone knows, tell us.
Dominoes, but they're flat. What game is that?
It's like a game that Americans play because we don't play it here. They're definitely little rectangles on the.
Maybe it's called dominoes because you know dominoes aren't actually supposed to just be knocked over. That's like the game that we think it is. But dominoes themselves are a game. That's why we've got different numbered dots on them.
Right. Well, that's what they were playing.
They were playing dominoes.
There you go.
They're playing original dominoes.
And,
wow.
The grandpa basically says,
"Gonna give all his money to Greenpeace."
Which is great.
So fucking great. Of course you should.
Are you going to give my share to Greenpeace too? Which share will you give first?
Yeah, I know.
How do you work that out? I can't do accents, and you know that.
Exactly. But it's fun when she tries.
Yeah.
I think it's fun when she tries. Basically, Greg is so flustered because, you know, before this episode, he thought that he was secure with a great promotion at Waystar. He thought he was still buddies with Kendall and that, you know, he wasn't going to have any repercussions from that. And he had a fat wad of cash coming as well.
Yeah, exactly.
All of that's been taken away this episode.
And the grandpa looks at him sincerely and says,
"You need to grow up."
No, essentially, but you just ruined it.
Sorry.
Greg says, you know, what am I supposed to do or something? And the grandpa looks at him sincerely and says, well, Greg says, why? And he says, because you need to take yourself seriously, kid.
Exactly.
And it's really, really genuine from the grandpa. Like, I am doing this to help you in your life.
Yes.
Because you will be fucked if you just take this money and you think you can just live like this.
Totally.
Because these people are corrupt.
Exactly. And you never know. That might be the saving grace of Greg's character. He might come through and he might be the hero of the series.
I just don't think that's possible because I really saw through him a bit in this episode and he seemed, oh my God, sorry, that was my stomach rumbling. He seems just a bit, he wanted that money too much.
Exactly.
He wanted that watch too much if you think about it. You know, and so, yeah. But then they all get back and Roman says to his dad, oh my God, you would have loved it, Dad. Sandy's barely alive.
Oh my God, that
so
was
funny.
So fucking funny.
Yeah.
And Shiv is acting so uncool in the scene.
Yeah.
Like, she's giddy with the fact that she's done something good. She's done something good for the dad. And
she's bluffing though.
And she is bluffing a little bit, but it just really struck me how uncool she seemed.
And yeah, we both noticed that the relationship between Tom and Shiv... Which now we realise they were building up to have that fertility scene. But
yeah.
It's like lovely. They have this like, he's like, he basically says, you go girl, you know, you
and
did,
he puts his arm around her waist. They seem really intimate. They seem really close.
She giggles.
Yes, exactly. And then he comforts her when she's essentially shot down by Logan, who's about to reach the crescendo of this piss mad kind of UTI sequence, okay?
Well, no, because it starts to unravel now. Logan says, absolutely not. They're fucking lying. Something's going on. We're now going to burn them.
Yes, because the deal because it turns out that the condition that Sandy's people want is no private jets.
Yeah, which is so funny.
Yeah, it is so
because
funny.
it sounds like a joke.
Yeah.
He's like, but yeah, just get rid of the fucking private jets. They're bad for the planet. Get rid of them.
Exactly.
But and Roman's like, no PJs for the something.
Yeah. Basically, Roman, quite cleverly, I think, says that if they get rid of that, then that's going to start, it's going to open a door into a whole bunch of different things where the top players can't get the bonuses that they would like. Basically, he's saying they're coming for our throats, and if we let them have this, then they're going to take away everything that makes us the special rich people.
And then somebody says, if we fuck this deal, then there are no more deals. Is that Shiv?
That's Shiv who says that. If we fuck this deal, no more deals.
Yeah, which is true.
Yeah.
But then the first sign that Logan is going dotty is he says to his security guard, what do you think?
I know, that was so jarring.
And we were both like so tense watching that.
I know, because I couldn't tell what was going on. I was like, is he having a heart attack? Is he experiencing some sort of form of Alzheimer's? Or is he just so done with his kids? And is he thinking, oh, let me talk to the working man, let me get a bit of a blue collar touch, and then he'll be able to tell me what to do.
But I think
it was
it's
really
more
interesting.
that the security guard is a symbol of almost like a compass for Logan. And he was there, right from the beginning with the whole covering up of the manslaughter by Kendall, and he's almost like comes in every so often just to either stare at Kendall as a kind of silent eye.
Yeah,
to
but
judge.
almost as like a weird sort of foster son to Logan or something like that. Like there's like a weird trust between them now.
And he's always there.
Yeah.
And he said something like, it seems okay, I'll get you some Advil.
Yeah, exactly. He knew that's not the place for me to say anything.
Yeah, but he also knows, okay, Logan's fucked. Something's going on.
Yeah. And then that's when Tom sort of puts his arm around Shiv's waist and, whatever. Is that when they have the fertility chat, or is it slightly later on?
I think it's just about to come, but there's this moment where Logan gets up to go to the toilet and Greg says something like, Greg comes back in.
He's like, oh, you guys going to the bathroom? How the fuck is it any of your business?
And it's just so great, isn't it, when you see Logan shout, because I'm sure everyone has a man who you're just so used to every so often just fucking scaring the shit out of everyone in the room.
Oh, God,
and screaming.
God.
And it's just normal. It's just normal.
To be a man. Oh, to be a man. Honestly, with that kind of vocal range, I would love to be able to scare people that much.
No, but it's just everyone knows somebody. Like, their dad has done that.
Oh, yeah. Our dad has done that.
Like,
our dad has done that.
But
especially in
has.
Zzz's. Especially in the pizza restaurant Zzz's. He's
but
done that.
Everyone's dad has. Like, it's just something that all dads do. I see sometimes Alfie do it, and I'm like, oh, my God.
I know. It's that male rage. I wish I could tap into that, but I'm just too logical. I'm a woman.
But it's not rage. It's just volume and power and something that's just...
Get out of my way.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
So Tom... And weirdly, this is the moment. So this is before Shiv's chat with Tom. For some reason, Logan picks Tom to be his attendee to the toilet.
Yes, and at that stage, it's unclear. Tom clearly takes it as like a compliment. But the fact is, it's because Logan hasn't got a fucking clue what's going on. He thinks that Tom is probably like, I don't know, one of his like security agents or something like that later on.
I don't know. I think that maybe when you go into that moment of... your mind goes all weird. Maybe he really does like Tom, but then Logan basically gets into a lot of pain in the toilet and screams, and so Tom goes in with him. Oh my God!
And it's the sweetest thing. And Tom comes over and he checks on Logan. And he says, are you okay? And the fact is, we're going to get you seen by someone. He's paternal in that moment to him. And then Logan says, thanks, kid. And then Tom goes...
he says, thanks, son.
He says, thanks, son. And then Tom is so touched. And he says, well, you're welcome, Pop.
No, he
Papa.
says Papa. I just think we have to just, for a second, just... again appreciate Tom, because
I've written this down in order. We've skipped ahead actually.
I know we
this
skipped
is
ahead.
a bunch
Sorry,
of
but
shit
who
that
gives a
happens
shit?
in between. Who gives a fuck?
But Tom, I didn't really appreciate in the last episode how the scene between him and Greg, where he's talking about I've just realised something, Greg. I'm gonna be in prison and you're gonna be head of parks and my life is over and yours is whatever.
And I would you would be my castrated slave in a heartbeat. That scene
and this Papa scene are just
Gold
two
dust.
of the best, if not the best scenes in Succession.
I really, really, really enjoy Tom's performance. I just think that it's just such a fascinating character arc, everything.
But even if we're skipping, can we just go to the Shiv and the Tom bit?
Yeah,
because
okay,
that
while
is
we're
just
here.
fascinating.
While we're here, because we're going to circle back, because there is like a few other little scenes. But while we're talking about Tom, so Tom finds Shiv, he's all happy. At this point, she's been able to speak to the female Sandy, the daughter Sandy, on the phone, and essentially book them another seat at the table in terms of the deal, but also guarantee someone like Shiv a seat as well. So Shiv's all feeling all gassed up, like she's done a great job. Tom comes over, he's being all kissy with her, and I don't know why I said it like that. That's so weird. And I think it's because Tom has that cringy dad energy. He would probably say something like kissy.
And Shiv is wearing this white cream suit, which me and Bebe did have a debate about whether vertical stripes are flattering or not flattering. I always thought vertical was meant to be flattering.
Optical illusion. Did you even read Heat magazine between the years of 2000 and 2009? I think this was their number one topic.
No, I think there was a massive shift. Suddenly everyone was like, actually, we were wrong all those years.
Okay.
Because somebody wore vertical stripes and they didn't suit her, so now we're going to just choose horizontal.
No, horizontal is an optical illusion because it makes you not think about... Because the thing is, when you've got vertical stripes, you're essentially counting how many of them it takes up to fill a person. If you've got horizontal ones, it just distracts away. I don't know why they're more flattering, but if you think of like a French sort of like baton top or whatever the fuck that's called, you know?
You know that Tess Daily advert for Well Woman that you see like every other...
Oh, with her pink off the shoulder. I would love to go as that for Halloween. That would have been such a fucking good Halloween costume.
The Well Woman Tess Daily.
Literally.
Okay, that's a complete detail. But yeah, basically...
So she's got great collarbones, Tess Daily.
She's wearing this... yesterday when we were on the tube, Margaret, every second that Tess was there, was like, Tess!
I like that girl from the hair vitamins advert. She's got like really shit highlights, but it's like it's an advert about like, you know, get the best hair of your life, and it's like the hair gummies. I don't know. It's everywhere, and it's been there for literally fucking years. Anyway,
she was wearing this cream vertical striped suit. She does look, you know, quite nice.
Yeah.
And Tom is like,
she looks very sexy. It's very form fitting. She looks like very powerful.
And he's like, I just think it's when you're fertile. I just really you know, and he tries to pin her against the wall, and she's like, what's going on? And then he lets slip
that he's been tracking her.
And it's so funny because it's so quick how he says it, and it's so creepy, and she immediately feels violated and watched, and it just descends into this really awkward moment, which could have been actually really sweet.
I know. Basically, he wants her to get pregnant just before he goes to jail, so that in the 9 months to year period of time that he's away, not only is she, you know, not going to be lonely, but also she has to stay faithful to him because she's got a little part of him inside of her.
And he's like, it's supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be nice.
I mean, to be honest, I'm so twisted that I did think it was nice.
I thought it was lovely.
I was like, I would do that for you. And she says, I'm not going to incubate for you. I can't say that word. And she was so offended and grossed out. And it was such a shame because all of that beautiful, like, coming together just deflated.
I know, but you can see why now she got so upset. It's because he's treating her as a incubator. Mm-hmm. And this is her moment where she's just, like, riding high with being powerful and asserting her position, trying to be the next successor. And he's immediately bringing her back to, you're a woman. This is your job. I am a man and I am going away. You will have my child. Mm-hmm. And you can see in her head, she's just gone 360 from feeling on top of the world to suddenly being like, oh yeah, this could be my life. And how dare you? And so she gets so angry.
God, Jessie, that was such an amazing point you just made there. I was like, wow.
Oh my God, thank you.
I was transfixed by that. Well
but
done.
You can see it, can't you?
Yeah.
Because it's just like she's just immediately like, no, you've just ruined my moment of power.
Exactly.
By
exactly. It's completely a pride thing for her because she doesn't want to accept the title of woman. Like she wants to be the successor, and it doesn't matter if she's a boy or a girl.
And yet again, she's been degraded into breasts and a womb.
Absolutely.
I just ended that well.
Good. So let's circle back a little bit.
And no, but he just says, you know, I haven't. I've just counted the days on my iCal.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I found it so cute. I need help. Okay. So basically, let's circle back. Who says this line? All these years, he still has to play maitre d' at the bistro bullshit. So I think it's Kendall.
Yeah, so we're going back to Kendall. Kendall isn't there because he's, you know, doing his weird thing. And he now gets the sense that Logan is going to say no to this deal. And so Kendall wants to go in, and whoever his assistant is. No, who says to him?
I think he's talking to Stewie on the phone, isn't
Oh, yeah,
he?
he's saying, no, I don't know who he's talking to, but basically saying, no, your absence makes you seem powerful.
Yeah.
And Kendall says, no, my absence makes me look like a little bitch.
Yes.
And so he's revving himself up to go in and be in control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, Carl
Yeah.
is meant to be going on stage, and now Logan has come back after his piss with Tom and is like, no, we're going to reject the deal. Fuck him.
Yeah.
And they're all going into this frenzy of what's going to happen. So Carl goes on stage and doesn't know what to say.
He doesn't know what to say, so he whispers to Frank something about like, well, we don't know what the fuck's going on, blah, blah,
So
blah.
Frank
you need
is
to
again
stall.
the person who is threading everything together. So he starts the episode, he's on stage, kind of like holding the conference together.
And then
Carl immediately comes back.
And Logan goes off to piss again. So he's basically just bluntly said, no, that sounds ridiculous, whatever. Fuck him. And then as he goes off to piss, the rest of them have to sort of band together. They need to make this decision immediately. And they all have to decide if they think that Logan meant what he said.
And Roman is the one to be like, Dad is right.
Yes.
He's made this is how he works. He thrives off,
Drama
making decisions like
and
this.
all this kind of stuff. And so they say, okay, cool, let's make the fuck 'em call.
And he's like, that's back, Dad.
Absolutely.
And everyone else is like weirded out. Shiv, after doing her, getting the deal, she kind of girlily looks at her phone and is like, okay, fuck him.
And then she calls Sandy. This is before she comes to an actual conclusion with her later. But she calls Sandy and sort of quite cattily tells her the news. And then when Sandy's surprised, she's like, I just do what my dad tells me.
Yeah.
So
really
like she said earlier.
Yeah.
Nice little callback.
Fuck
Nice
you,
little
bitch.
callback. And then it all starts to unravel.
Oh my God. Yes. And then is this when Frank is on stage. Is it Frank? And then you just have Kendall.
Oh my God.
This is such an amazing moment.
Why is he standing in the shadows like that, like a weird little scary ghost boy?
Oh my God, it was so great.
He walks so slowly and so creepily. And I feel like with Kendall, what's so amazing about this guy's performance, Jeremy Kendall. Jeremy Kendall, the famous actor Jeremy Kendall.
Jeremy Thomas?
Jeremy Renner.
No, that's the guy from Hurt Locker.
And the guy who's Ant-Man. No, what's his name? No. Oh, no, silly.
It's okay.
We're not good at actors' names. Anyway,
no.
Jeremy Kendall, what makes his performance so amazing and what you can tell is, do you know what I mean? What makes you know, oh, you're fucking weird. You're like a weird method actor-y guy. Like you're probably unbearable to be around.
He doesn't sit with him at lunch.
Oh my God, no. We couldn't hang out with him. But you want to watch his performance because you know that he is making decisions in Kendall's brain as it is happening. When he was sort of like weirdly, slowly striding around in the shadows, I didn't feel for a second he's been told to walk here, wait for 3 seconds, and then go up. I truly was like, it's like watching a real person making these crazy decisions every step of the way you're with him. And it's just such a beautiful performance. It's insane.
But also, it's so great performance from everyone else. So Frank's performance or Carl's when they're on stage, they genuinely look like they haven't. This hasn't been rehearsed.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do in front of an audience where your job is to make it seem like everything is fine and you have the creepy son?
Yeah. The guy who already bashed the company. Yeah, exactly. And then they just have to fucking let him say whatever.
Well, because at this point, Kendall knows that they've now rejected the Sandy deal.
Yeah.
Which is shocking. He is defending his place and wanting to fuck his dad over.
Yeah.
And he just starts listing slowly the women that have been abused by Waystar.
And I think it is obviously.
They'd accepted the deal at that point, I thought.
No, this is when they rejected it and he knows it's a mistake.
Was this at the end of the episode?
Maybe we're
I
wrong.
think they'd accepted it and he wanted to be seen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We got it wrong.
We got it wrong. Woo!
But it
we're only
doesn't really,
human.
doesn't really matter though, because he is just wanting to put his
Stamp on it.
it.
He wants to embarrass this event in the way that he played the Nirvana "Rape Me" song at Shiv's conference a few episodes back, and he talks about this foundation that he's setting up for victims of sexual abuse.
Which he doesn't give a shit about.
Which he does not give a shit about. It's like a buzzword for Twitter, and he's just trying to trend.
And they all cut the mics, and he's silenced, which is great.
Yeah.
And they're watching it in the conference room or the room that they're in, and just kind of, we can't stop him. We can't stop him.
So let's go back.
Tom says when he's on stage, which I just loved, he's not even wearing a tie.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that Horatio was right. That happens after the UTI piss mad bit. But basically, if we circle back to that, that's my real phrase today. Circle back. I don't know. It makes me feel businessy. I like it. So just to circle back to the piss mad thing, they basically realise that they have made this unbelievably important decision based on a man who is essentially losing his mind.
Because he starts calling people the wrong names.
He starts asking for Marsha.
He starts calling Shiv Marsha.
My God,
and then there's the
can't
cat
cope.
scene.
And then there's the cat, and basically the security guard, who seems really sweet in this episode, because I've only seen him as like a figure of intimidation with regards to Kendall, but he sort of comes over and says Mr. Roy thinks that there's a cat under his chair and he doesn't want Rose to see it. Rose being his sister who died in childhood, that we find out early on in the series, who is a sore spot for him. So he's clearly seeing the ghosts of his past, and he's in some traumatized like child state, and everyone's having to sort of prance around, make these decisions, try and backtrack on what's happened. And then as Kendall strides in fact, Kendall strides in before he goes on stage, furious, not realizing what's happened, and then the security guard like rushes by with this like brown paper bag with the imaginary cat that he has to take away.
And Kendall's like,
so funny.
Kendall's like, what is that? And Roman's like, oh, it's just an imaginary
can bag.
Oh my God.
And
do you remember the scene in series 2 where they all try to fuck Rhea over? So Shiv says, if you do a toast to Rose.
God, I love that scene.
And Logan's face. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So Rose is a huge sore spot.
Really interesting that they decided to drop that in. And then somebody is rude to Frank, but no. I think that Kendall comes over and Logan mistakes him for Frank. Somebody's then rude to Kendall, and then Logan says, I'm the only one that's allowed to be nasty to Frank.
Yes! That's
I thought
so
that was really
good.
nice, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, what's Frank doing here?
It's so, I mean, Horatio raised this point to me just before we started doing this. Did it not feel a tiny bit convenient in terms of like using this trope of someone like losing their mind for a little bit and then regaining it when it's like convenient again? But then again, I don't know, like maybe old people do go crazy when they have a UTI.
Yeah, but Roman is the voice of, old. That they are old men. They do just need like. Somebody says something like, so. Yeah, the doctor comes in and says, so I've given him some liquids, I've given him some whatever, and somebody says something like, well, so that's fine, he's fine now. And the guy's like, well no, but yeah, just give it a couple of hours, it'll be okay. And sure enough, it is. And Roman says, all we just have to care about our dad right now.
Exactly.
No one is really thinking about that. They're just thinking about how are we gonna, and then there's this awful chat where Jerry is implicit in this and says something like, we do need to see him on stage.
Yes.
And everyone's like, but he can't talk. He's calling everyone the wrong names. He thinks it's an imaginary cat. And they're like, well, how long can we wait to see, maybe we can just bring him on. Maybe he doesn't talk.
Yeah. They're treating him like he's like a sick child or something like that.
They all are desperate.
And then there's a scene, I don't know if it's like mid-madness, just before or just after, but basically Shiv is trying to talk to Logan about what's going on, and she's standing up and he's sitting down, and he basically tells her to fuck off. I'm pretty sure.
God, he screams at her.
Yeah, he like implies that she's made some bad decisions,
and
like that
she
hasn't
giggles and says, well, I guess Dad's back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This must be after he's feeling better. Well, I suppose Dad's feeling better, but what's so interesting is she's standing up looking down on him. And then Roman, he kind of comes in and he scuttles and he kneels down on the floor looking up at Logan.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was such an interesting portrayal of the way that they both view their father.
Yeah.
Shiv kind of hates him, doesn't really respect him, but also needs his approval, but is only looking down on him. Roman is just looking up because, he's still a little boy and he wants Logan to love him and look after him. I just thought that was really interesting, the way that they played that out.
Yes, and then Roman says something like, when they're talking about how to get Logan on stage, Roman says something like, well, he's not a pickup truck, or he's not like, Call me when he's less scary, because he's genuinely worried about his dad.
Yes, exactly. I think is it Shiv that implies that they should like perk him up with some other kind of medication, and then Roman gets really upset and he says, you're trying to jumpstart him like he's a pickup truck. Exactly. Yeah. I thought
And then there's this chat with Jerry, because we're forgetting a crucial scene for Roman, which we did in the last episode where we forgot to talk about Tattoo Man. We're sorry. But Roman, then basically they're deciding who's going to talk to the president, because the president wants to speak. And then they all discuss about who's going to talk to him. It should be a Roy. And Jerry's like, well, no, it should be Roman. He's a bootleg.
Yeah, he's
Logan.
he's a bootleg Logan. That was a really good.
What
line.
does that mean?
Bootleg is like it's like a shitty version of something, right? Like a bootleg
I thought it was
version
like a
of a
little
film.
trouser. Bootleg trouser.
No, you're thinking of a bootcut jean.
Oh, boot cut. So yeah, bootleg
notoriously unflattering on our body shape anyway.
No one looks good in a bootleg. And there's
you're such a fucking idiot sometimes.
they're like, oh no, not Tony Tourette. So be careful, Roman.
And then Roman has this very adorable twitchy performance.
No, but then Roman, when Frank says, be careful, don't be Tony Tourette. Roman's like, oh really? Is it not cool to tell the president to blow me? Oh, Roman, we love you
we
so
fucking
much.
love you, Roman.
And and then he
has this long conversation, seems really complicated, but basically it ends with Roman trying to talk the president out of something and then sort of being abruptly hung up on. And Roman just tells the group matter-of-factly he's not running again.
We've literally made him.
He's got mental health issues, given how bad our coverage has been of him.
No, he's got a neurological issue that we have built up unfairly.
Yes, and it's not fair on his wife.
We fucked ourselves.
And now we're never going to be. And then the president relayed to him, good luck getting as much inside information from the next candidate who you don't fucking know anything about. And
so Waystar, another
fucking blow to the ship's mast.
And then we have the backtracking. So Shiv then goes and backtracks we have this lovely scene with the two daughters. I'm just doing what my dad tells me.
Yes, exactly.
And they end up, the final deal is that they do have to get rid of private jets.
But they also both get a seat at the table, both female Sandy and essentially Shiv for herself. She's guaranteed one, in the interest of equality. If you've got another extra seat, we need to have one too.
Yes.
And she's doing that for herself. But I reckon, given that we know how Shiv handles, pressure and important things, she's probably not going to handle that seat very well.
Yes.
She saved the deal.
She did save the deal, and I feel like it was her attitude this episode that kind of took away from what she did, which was actually very impressive. But she was just so kind of flustered and uncool this episode, which I thought was really interesting, the choices that they made there. They're making her slightly less powerful every episode.
Yeah.
But Roman and Logan were wrong, it seems.
Roman and Logan were wrong. If they had gone to a vote, yeah, it would have been, they probably would have been fucked, and Shiv was right. But she's not going to get the credit for it, because she hasn't handled herself particularly well in their eyes.
So we've ended this episode where they're now in a deal with Stewie and Sandy. No private jets. Greg has no inheritance. Shiv has been shouted at by Logan. Logan is back to normal with drugs. And Kendall, brilliant end. Kendall is told by Carrie, Fringe woman, if that's her name. Sorry if it's not her name. Your dad wants to work with you. Again, that's my accent. And Kendall looks genuinely, I keep saying genuinely, and then I mess it up and say generally, which is a common mistake people make. Sorry about that. And says, oh really? Am I grounded, Carrie?
And then as we know, Logan does not like to be made to wait. As was evident in the last episode with the private jet whole fiasco thing. But he makes Kendall wait in a little room for him, and it's Jess with her tail between her legs who has to come and tell Kendall that Logan already left the building.
Ages ago.
And
then you see the last bit is Frank looking frazzled on stage. So there's another, something happens with Frank where he looks like disheveled. And then you see the scene with Logan's walking down a dark corridor and his phone starts buzzing, because when when Kendall gets the information that his dad's has just abandoned him again, he cannot let it go. So he calls his dad immediately. Logan looks at his phone vibrating, gives it to his security guard, is like, block this number for good. And then we're out.
And then we're out onto the title sequence.
Fucking great.
The closing credits sequence.
Fucking great.
It was a fantastic episode, and
not my favourite though.
Okay.
Last episode was my favourite, but even though you didn't like that was my favourite so far.
With Adrian Brody?
Oh, Adrian, who I think is just a one-time wonder. I don't think he's back.
To be honest, Adrian Brody strikes me as such an interesting kind of actor. Like, he's got a weird, very quirky energy. I think
he did that for free. Like, he would have done that for free.
I think, genuinely, no, that's what I was going to say.
Really?
That's actually what I was going to say. That's crazy. I think that he's just a huge fan of Succession.
Yeah.
I reckon he fucking messaged one of the producers on Instagram or something like that because he's fucking kooky and weird. Like, you should check out his Instagram. It's weird. Yeah, and I love it. I reckon he just messaged and he was like, hey, guys. Hey, let me be in a show. Let me be in an episode. I'll donate 5 million.
I'll wear my own costume.
Yeah, I just feel like, I reckon that's what happened. That's what happened in my head anyway.
I want him back.
I don't want him back. I think that that was perfect. We don't need to see that we leave him where he is now.
Okay,
Although he might come back later in the season. That'd be cool.
So my prediction is that Greg's going to become nasty now that he's more in need.
Maybe he's nasty to Dasha. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe he's going to be nasty to her.
And I reckon the end of the series, because they're definitely going to have another series, aren't they? Because it's been such a hit.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, so I reckon Shiv will accidentally get pregnant. And then there'll be like that woman dilemma. And
maybe not with Tom's baby though.
No, it will be with Tom's baby. But I just loved it when Tom was like, I think I'm going to get the slot in 9 to 12 months. I'll probably go in. Just amazing that they can plan things like that. It really reminded me, in a completely different way, but of Ghislaine Maxwell. And in the recent coverage of her in the press and stuff, of her saying, I haven't had a nutritious meal in 12 months. And stuff like this. Just, how much organisation has gone into her prison and her bail? Like, did she I think she thought... It seems like she's really angry that the deal didn't work out and she's actually had to be in prison for this long. I mean, obviously it's a completely different thing, but it did make me think how much organisation goes into rich people going into prison.
Exactly. And how many corners they can cut around.
Yeah. Anyway, it was an amazing episode.
I think that if for some crazy reason you've got this far in our Succession podcast and you've listened to this whole episode and you still haven't watched it, watch.
There is no way one person has not watched Succession and is watching our Succession podcast.
You never fucking know, Jessie. Okay?
Why would they do that?
But because maybe they like the dulcet tones of our voices.
Maybe. Well, subscribe to our Patreon and then you can actually hear our normal podcast.
Exactly. Which we won't. We will resume. We will bring it back. We're not, trying to cut people off or anything like that. But we just wanted a bit of a fun.
Yeah, just
a bit of a fun time. We love Succession.
We love it.
Let it go. Don't be so angry with us.
Alfie hasn't watched any yet. He's saving it all up to watch in one day.
Yeah, I know. The thing is, I was thinking of that too because it's frustrating not being able to binge watch.
No, I love it. I feel like they're so dense.
But they are so dense that you can probably watch it. You can probably easily watch one of the episodes 2 or 3 times.
I am.
Pick up.
I am.
So many different things.
I'm so hungry. We need to stop.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Thank you for watching.
My favourite line of the episode is...
Oh my God, sorry, that's my stomach rumbling.
Jesus Christ,
and
that
I
was
have had
so
breakfast.
fucking
I'm
loud.
really sorry. It's
That
so
was
embarrassing.
so loud.
It's just so strange.
He's cooking up his sweaty spaghetti. That was my favourite line.
I get so hungry at 10:30 every day. Sorry, I just ruined your spaghetti line.
No, it's cool. It makes sense. Your tummy rumbles was like the soundtrack. But that was Kendall talking to Frank at the beginning of the episode. Yes. Very cool. What was your favourite line?
I think it has to be one of Roman's, and I think it probably is the blow me line. But when Logan shouts at the end to Shiv, stop buzzing in my fucking ear, to his daughter, who was just grafted for him. Oh my God,
actually, yeah, you're right. That was horrific.
Stop buzzing in my fucking ear. So poor Shiv. If you really think about how she is in this episode.
Of course, and obviously my point was that she was standing up tall, but in a way, she was hovering. But the thing is, I think part of the reason why he shouted at her that was because she wasn't being sort of pious and kneeling down to him. She was trying to be strong. She was trying to say, Dad, look what I did. This is what we have on the table. You made me important in this business. You trusted me. Here's my decision. And he can't stand the fact that she thinks that she can stand up tall to him.
Yes, exactly. And it does show that Logan in this episode is wanting to be, even if it ruins the company, he wants to be the one to say yes or no and be in control.
He's going to ruin his own company because of his own pride, for sure.
But all he has to do is let in a bit of love. Like, if he just loved his children and appreciated them and was nicer to them, it would all be a bit easier.
Yeah.
Do you think he likes Connor more because Connor's not in the company?
He treats Connor like an idiot.
He treats Connor like a sort of like a sick dog.
He's so nasty to Shiv and to Kendall. And with Roman, because Roman kind of plays ball a little bit more and just is a bit more needy, and probably he hit more as a child. He's probably a bit nicer, but his standards are so high.
I think he pities Roman. I think that he dislikes Shiv. Or at least, no. Shiv is his favourite, isn't he?
He would prefer Shiv if she was a...
Have you seen him on Jimmy Fallon or something?
No.
Brian Cox.
No.
They had a whole cast on. They asked Brian Cox, who's your favourite child? Who do you think your character? And then he said, I probably shouldn't say. And they're like, you're not going to say, oh, you. I think Michael McFadden said you. And then he goes, yeah, Shiv. He says Shiv.
Yeah, but I think he would prefer Shiv and be nicer to Shiv if she wasn't trying so hard to get in.
Exactly.
If she was just a woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Business as usual. Next Tuesday.
But if you want to listen to our normal podcast, we promise that it's on Patreon.
Okay, love you.
Bye. Bye.